Cory Booker didn't just walk into the Senate chamber today to cast a vote. He walked in ready to call out one of the most powerful moves to bury the truth that we've seen in years. In front of cameras, colleagues, and the American people, Booker declared that Senator John Cornyn had just pushed through an amendment designed not to protect the public but to protect secrets. At the heart of this battle was one of the most explosive subjects in modern politics, the Epstein files. These are not just stacks of paper hidden away in some cabinet. They are files that could reveal names, connections, and networks the public has been denied for decades. Booker's words landed like a thunderclap. The Senate had the power in that very moment to shine light on the truth.
Go ahead, sir.
I don't want to jump over the ranking member.
I'll defer.
Okay, so I'm reading that Cornyn's second degree, and he said a lot of really important things about immigration that are worthy to be discussed. And I'm happy to vote on an immigration bill. I disagree with the death penalty. I will vote my conscience on this. But I want to draw everybody's attention to the first two lines of your second degree. They have nothing to do about immigration. They have nothing to do with the death penalty. I've never seen this before. His first two lines is not to bring up this important issue that should be discussed, debated. Your first two lines are to strike my amendment in its entirety. So what we have right here is hidden behind real issues on immigration is really just trying to not vote on the important points that we brought up about transparency and accountability on the Jeffrey Epstein files. This is not an amendment to my amendment. This is an attempt to strike what I have a whole list of prominent Republicans, elected leaders, who want the same thing I want, which is just to have transparency on this matter.
Can we vote
I've
on
heard
my
some of the
second degree?
comments. If I can finish, Mr. Chairman.
Go ahead.
I have heard public statements by my Senate colleagues on both sides of the aisle. I've heard comments from Republicans on the House side and Democrats on the House side that we want transparency and accountability on a matter of public safety. Senator Cornyn said that Jeffrey Epstein's dead yet, but his victims are not. There are women who have horrific stories of vile violence that was committed against them. We have Pam Bondi, our Attorney General, who said that there is evidence, truckloads of it, as to these crimes, potential co-conspirators, potential others involved. How can we not want to just know what happened? Why are we trying to simply turn away from the highest law enforcement officers in the land, from our FBI director to our Attorney General, who spoke towards crimes committed and others involved in those crimes? Why are we considering an amendment that is hiding behind real immigration issues, but real intent is to strike a simple request for transparency, for accountability, that Republican voices all across the spectrum have been demanding from this president and this Attorney General? So if Senator Cornyn is going to offer an amendment, I'm going to offer a third degree that simply strikes his first two lines. I'll vote on your immigration stuff that you so strongly stated. There was the importance of this, but you hid the fact that you put here the real intention of your amendment. It has nothing to do with immigration. It says it right here in the first two lines. The real effort was just to not have accountability and transparency. What are you afraid of?
Mr. Chairman, may I respond?
Yeah, you may respond.
I trust the Senate-confirmed Attorney General of the United States to make the proper legal analysis to determine what of the Jeffrey Epstein files can be released. He was confirmed by the United States Senate as Chief Law Enforcement Officer of the United States. I trust her to make the right legal determination. But I would ask my colleague from New Jersey, you claim you care about the victims. Do you care about Tammy Nobles? Do you care about Marie Vega, the angel moms who lost their loved ones, their children, to the acts of an illegal alien who never should have been here in the first place? Do you care about them?
Can I respond to the senator's question? Sir, I've known you for 14 years. You and I both care about victims of crime. And to suggest otherwise is stunning to me.
Senator,
if I may finish, sir,
Senator,
I allow you to finish.
I asked you a question.
And I'm trying to
I didn't
answer.
make an accusation.
Mr. Chairman,
I asked you a question.
Mr. Chairman.
Answer the question.
I should have allowed a time to respond to the senator's question. I did not interrupt him, and now he's interrupting me.
Please
It is
proceed.
another violation of the decorum of this place.
Go ahead, Senator Bolton.
Senator Cornyn, both you and I have spent our lives. I know your record, I know your history, I know what you've done. I would never, ever question whether you care about the victims of a heinous crime.
Mr. Chairman, please help me.
You ask me if I care? Absolutely.
Thank you.
No, I'm not finished yet.
Well, thank you for answering the question.
Well, I'm going to answer the question in full. You are not sincere.
Let me explain.
Sir, he has put an amendment in
Would you allow
trying
me,
to use the horrific nature
would you
of
allow me as sponsor of this bill to
Sir,
explain?
I will not pick a fight with Chuck Grassley in the same way that Chuck Grassley won't pick a fight with
The
me.
reason for his amendment is because your amendment says that this bill that we're working on will not go into effect until we get all these records. And this bill is an opioid bill to help solve some of the drug problems in this country. And we ought to get it passed because it's a bipartisan bill and it's very badly needed.
Sir, may I respond?
Yes.
So I said at the top of my comments, my frustrations, we've said it to your staff, we've said it to others, that when funds like this have been made available so far in the first 6 months, they're clawing back funds from my state. And that's unfair, and I would like to deal with those. We could deal with them. And given that, I am sticking to an amendment that is not controversial. I know it's not controversial, sir, because I've seen polling literally on Republican channels that the overwhelming majority of Republicans and Democrats want transparency and accountability. That the overwhelming majority of Americans has seen that one of these two things is lies. Is there truckloads full of evidence as to victims of crime not having justice? Have we been lied to? Who are we trying to protect? What are they trying to hide? This is not controversial. We have Republican leaders in Congress calling for the same thing that this amendment calls for. And so for a second degree to be offered to mine, where you're using horrific crimes to hide the real intention of this, if this amendment is so important, just strike the first two lines that strikes my entire amendment. The intention of this is clear. It's to not give the American people accountability, transparency, and truth. That's what we as the Judiciary Committee should be seeking. So I offer a third degree amendment, preserving every noble thing that the senator from Texas said he wanted.
You can't offer a third degree amendment.
I can't offer a third degree. Then I ask that we strike the true intention of his amendment, the first two lines.
But instead, Cornyn's maneuver turned transparency into yet another casualty of Washington's endless political games. Booker wasted no time in making his accusation crystal clear. He argued that Senator Cornyn's so-called amendment wasn't a technical adjustment or a procedural fix. It was, in Booker's words, a deliberate attempt to shield the American people from ever seeing what's inside the Epstein files. He laid it out step by step. Cornyn's second-degree amendment stripped away the language that would have forced transparency, effectively making Booker's own effort moot. In plain English, that meant the window to compel disclosure had just been slammed shut. This wasn't just political theater. Booker stressed that the stakes couldn't be higher. These files, he warned, could contain evidence connecting powerful figures across business, politics, and international circles. To block them was to block the truth. And Booker didn't mince words. He accused Cornyn of hiding behind procedure while actively denying the public's right to know. His frustration was obvious, his tone direct. The truth could have been made public today, he said. Instead, secrecy won. But Cornyn wasn't about to sit silently while being painted as the villain. He had his own defense, and it was one built on a very different framing of the fight. Cornyn pushed back hard, refusing to let Booker's charge go unanswered. He argued that nothing happening in this committee, no amendment, no debate, would actually change the status of the Epstein files. In his telling, Booker's push for disclosure wasn't about justice or transparency at all, it was a distraction. Cornyn framed himself as the one protecting a bipartisan bill meant to address what he called the real crisis, opioids and the chaos at the southern border. He insisted that if Booker's amendment went through, the entire package could collapse, jeopardizing legislation he claimed would save lives. Notice the move here. Cornyn didn't actually argue against releasing the Epstein files. Instead, he sidestepped, saying this isn't the time, this isn't the place. By tying the issue to border security and drug overdoses, he attempted to reframe the entire debate, making it seem reckless, even dangerous, to prioritize transparency over immediate legislation. It was a calculated pivot, a classic Washington maneuver: delay, deflect, distract. But Booker wasn't buying it. He reminded the room and the country that the Senate had the power that very day to demand accountability. And when he laid out what those files represented, the stakes became even clearer. Booker doubled down, warning that what Cornyn called a distraction was in fact one of the most urgent matters facing the Senate. He reminded everyone that these weren't dusty binders sitting forgotten in a Department of Justice cabinet. The Epstein files, he said, represent possible evidence of one of the most powerful abuse networks in modern history, files that could expose billionaires, politicians, and international figures who have long avoided accountability. Blocking their release wasn't just a technical maneuver, it was a choice to deny justice. Booker's words carried a chilling clarity: we had the power today to reveal the truth to the American people. In that single line, he exposed the gravity of the moment. The machinery of government had the ability to open those files, and it chose not to. That wasn't delay, that was denial. And for Booker, the message couldn't be clearer: each time transparency is pushed aside, the cover-up grows stronger. Still, the chamber wasn't ready to take that leap. And just when the confrontation reached its sharpest edge, another powerful voice entered the conversation, one that shifted the tone from confrontation to compromise. Just as the clash between Booker and Cornyn reached a breaking point, Senator Lindsey Graham stepped in, playing the role of mediator. Graham, with his practiced tone of calm authority, tried to reframe the fight as unnecessary drama. He acknowledged Booker's frustration but suggested there were better ways to deal with the Epstein files later, somewhere else, not in this bill. In Graham's words, the amendment wasn't going away, but the committee needed to stay focused on what he called the real work in front of them. Then came the pivot. Graham turned directly to Booker, offering something that sounded like friendship: "I'll help you. I'll deliver what I can." It was a classic Washington gesture: assure, pacify, and delay, and Booker, pragmatic to the end, accepted. He agreed to withdraw his amendment. On the surface, it looked like compromise. In reality, it was another stall. Because let's be clear, when the dust settled, the outcome was the same: the Epstein files remained locked away. Another day passed, another opportunity slipped through Congress's fingers, and that's when the bigger, more unsettling truth came into focus. The quiet withdrawal of Booker's amendment might have seemed like routine Senate business, but the implications run much deeper. Every delay, every procedural excuse chips away at the public's trust. People already believe Washington protects the powerful while holding everyday citizens to account. And when something as high profile and as disturbing as the Epstein files is pushed aside, that suspicion hardens into certainty. This wasn't just about one amendment or one bill. It revealed a pattern that cuts across party lines. Democrats and Republicans alike will rail against corruption when it's safe, when it's abstract. But the moment it threatens to expose elites with real money, real power, and real connections, suddenly the urgency vanishes. Transparency is rebranded as a distraction, accountability becomes bad timing, and compromise becomes another word for cover-up. That's why this moment matters, because it showed that even when the door to the truth is cracked open, the system has a way of slamming it shut. And unless the public keeps pressing, the truth about Epstein and what those files contain may stay buried forever. But the real question now isn't just about Epstein, it's about something much bigger. At the end of the day, this fight was never just about Jeffrey Epstein. It was about whether democracy itself is accountable to the people or only to the powerful. Senator Cory Booker tried to force transparency, Senator John Cornyn blocked it, and Senator Lindsey Graham offered smooth words that led to withdrawal. The result? The truth stayed hidden, once again justice delayed, and as history has shown, justice delayed is justice denied. So the real question is this: will the American people accept business as usual, or will they demand answers? Because these files are not about the past alone. They are about the future, about whether we live in a system where the wealthy and well-connected can hide behind procedure, or whether ordinary citizens can finally shine a light on the truth. If you believe sunlight is the best disinfectant, then don't let this story fade. Call your representatives, demand that they put transparency above politics. Keep asking the uncomfortable questions, because silence doesn't just protect the guilty, it fuels the cover-up. And if the Epstein files remain locked away, it won't just be names hidden in those pages. It'll be the very credibility of our democracy.